All right, I'll get started here. As far as injuries, no change with Deion Bush with his quad, and then Jakeem Grant with his ankle. I do think when you see the way that Grant gutted it out, I give him a lot of credit because that was a tough little shot there that he took on the sideline and the way his ankle went. So appreciate that with him. Damian Williams, no change, still on the COVID list, and same thing with Coach Furry. Okay, in regards to that. So the big picture after watching the film, never good enough when you come out and you don't win. We understand that. I think that we started out well with the drive. We got that stop on D. Everything we thought yesterday with the drive going down, getting 7-0. We had that interception, and then which we can discuss. But for the most part, I felt like throughout the game, whether it was just some penalties here or there, not getting takeaways. We always know against that team and that quarterback specifically, you got to be able to get takeaways. We didn't get any there, and then we gave them one. So for us, we want to be able to finish 17-14, and they had that drive to score, and then for us leaving those at worst those 2 field goals, not getting those, I think that impacted us as well. So we gotta learn from that stuff. Going through the tape, there's a lot of stuff for us to be able to use in all 3 phases. I thought our special teams, the guys on tape, really, man, they flew around. They saw a lot of good double teams. Again, 17 gutting it out, doing his thing. And then, of course, the one punt that they had, I had to go back and look at it, but their punter kicked it from his own 7 is where he kicked it. It went 78 yards in the air, and it rolled another 23. It was a 101-yard punt. So it's like, they flipped the field there and got the ball at the 20. So that was obviously a big pump by them as well. The energy of some of the guys was good. I think Robert and Khalil on the edge coming off. I think they're having a good first start here to the 6 games. And but with that, I'll go ahead and open it up.
Now that you've had a chance to watch the interception, the way that whole play unfolded, regardless of whether or not they were offsides, what's the coaching point on what needs to happen so that everybody's on the same page there?
So there's some things that go into that play, and for us, it's a really good teaching point to learn off of, because you don't see that very often where you think they're offsides and you snap the ball and they're in his neutral zone and then you run the play, and so there's a method to that procedure, to that play, right, within the play, without getting too specific. As that happened, and when we snapped the ball, thinking it was a free play, you see Justin then scramble out to the right, and A-Rob is running on his route and thinks it turns into a scramble to the right. So just as he's going to throw the ball, A-Rob runs to the right and loses vision just as he does it. So he thought that A-Rob was going to be there at that spot, and they were just off because of the scramble mode that we got into. So that, to us as coaches, what happens is you go through that, and there can be a lot within that one play of how to go about. I mean, I think we all in this room have seen it done by them, where you don't just get an offsides, but you get a free play, a touchdown, a pass interference, etc. We have that in our repertoire, and that it just so happened. What was weird about yesterday was that we felt like that there was within the play. We practiced it last week on Wednesday and Thursday. We practiced it, and so that's what happened within the play. And again, when I say teachable moment, it's a teachable moment for all of us when a flag is not thrown, right, on what to do. And I think that's probably the biggest thing.
Do you think he was offside?
No comment.
So, Matt, after that, going the other way, Justin throws one away that
Right.
wasn't overturned. He
Yeah.
went out of bounds, but way off the receiver again. So what do you think's happening?
Well, again, on that one, there is a progression, and for him, he dropped back and he got flushed out of the pocket a little bit, and that one there is a little bit different. I mean, there it's just more so of them just being on the same page. So one of the things as we grow and you start seeing where we're at with Justin, and when he's able to get outside and flush the pocket, even at the end of the game there when we were down 10, you saw he got almost pulled down and he scrambled up and out and made a nice run. Like, you're starting to see that can happen with him. And so continuing to practice the scramble drill, making sure guys are open. The first one that y'all are asking, the interception, that's a different element. That's different. The second one is one would be more of like a scramble drill when you flush out of the pocket, and that's all I think stuff that we're gonna these wide receivers, tight ends, us as coaches, Justin as a quarterback, we're all gonna grow through these experiences and learn. Okay, now this is what we need to do.
You mentioned the first touchdown drive. You guys got behind the sticks there. I think it was 2nd and 14, but then hit 11 to Mooney, 20 to Robinson, and then got the PI penalty. I'm curious what, from your vantage point, was notable about that sequence of getting 3 chunks in a row there.
So I put in my notes, Dan, this morning after watching it the second time that, that was play 5, 6, and 7 within the drive. Those 3 plays right there for Justin were special. Okay, so the very first play, he took a 3-step drop, nice little hitch, and ran a corner route through Mooney right on time. I mean, that was a professional throw, professional play. Great play by the line, everybody. The very next play, he comes back and they run a cover 2, and he hits A-Rob in the side pocket there down the sideline. Great throw, great catch, great execution. Follows it back up with a good chip protection shot play where the safety's playing kind of tight, cutting a deep cross, and he goes with the post alert, which is what we teach him. And all of that happened on time and in rhythm. When you can play quarterback and play on time and in rhythm, you see good things happen. And that was awesome. Those 3 plays right there. We got a PI in the end zone. We get the ball at the 1. We score a touchdown. So I thought for him that was great. Then you go to plays 37, 38, and 39, and I put all those 3 down for great decisions. Really, really good decisions. He had one where he checked it down to 24, and then to Khalil. He checked it down, went through his progression, checked it down. Then he came back the next play, and he threw. Even though we dropped it, he made a good decision on the one to Demir, right? That he threw on a little hitch route, smoke route, and then he came back with an RPO. Decision making, that was different, right? Those were decisions. I love that. And then the last thing with him that I thought where he really grew was in our offense in general. I wrote it down. It was 11 plays. That second touchdown drive, played 44 to 54. We were challenged with some different things within that, whether it was a scramble, whether it was decision making, whether it was a throw, whether those 11 plays right there, I thought that was one of the better drives of the season. And for sure, I think Justin's best. And so all of that, when you go back and you look at those plays, that's what gets you excited, is being able to see that. And now we need to do more of that. And how do we get to that?
With that second touchdown drive, obviously one of the better drives of the season, but also situationally given where the game was, how
Right.
much does that add to the
That's the other part of it, is the fact that these guys, we hit that first drive of the game, which we've been good there, early on, and then we hit a little lull and we went through a couple punts for certain reason, interception and some punts. And then they scored and made it 17-7, and we're on the sideline. We're saying, all right, guys, listen, we got to make a play on offense. We got to get this back. We're down 2 scores. We got to go down there and at worst case, get a field goal. So to magnify those 11 plays, we were able to go down, and we got behind the sticks. We were able to overcome some penalties. But the decision-making, the scrambling from Justin, the big catches by the wide receivers and tight ends, the protection by the O-line, the runs when we needed them, and then the very last play, the progression of timing from the 5, first and goal to 5, they zoned us out. He had protection. He made a great throw. 17-14, right? To me, that signifies growth for him and for our offense. We just need to do more of that. We need to get more of that in the middle and not wait from the first start of the game to that drive there.
Man, along the lines of the decision making, on some of those sacks that Justin took, like especially later in the game, is there a fine line between, you want him to extend plays because that's what he does, right? But is there also a thought that maybe sometimes that ball needs to come out and get?
Yeah, there's a few. Which for every quarterback, there's always a couple. When you look at them, you say, okay, hey, without trying to make a crazy good play, you get rid of the football. And the one that he would tell you probably that he wants back. Now there's different reasons for some of the sacks. The one I think is a little bit more common of the throwaway, just the easy throwaway, was the one where he took the sack earlier in the game. He rolled to the left. It was kind of sprinted out. He was waiting to see something happen. It wasn't there, instead of just dumping it out and saving a sack. But at the same point in time, we just want to be careful because you could have said that on his scramble at the end of the game where he ran for 20. He'd throw it away. The guy's grabbing the back of his jersey, throw it away. No, he beat that and he ran for 20. So there's a fine line, and we trust Justin in his decision making. And then at the same point in time, at the end of half and end of game, when we're getting close to field goal range, that's where I think you want to understand, okay, here's where we're at in the field. these plays here, if you take a sack, it's not good, but if you take a sack in these situations here, it can be critical error. Those are the ones we want to learn from. And then, he's so football smart, he gets it, he understands it. Now we learn from it moving forward.
Matt, on the series at the end of the first half,
Yeah.
he slid, took a pretty good
Yeah.
hit. Did that affect his decision-making?
No, he was fine. I mean, I think you guys saw he was over there like tapping him on the helmet, like, the guys that hit him. So I thought it looked vicious too, but when you watch it on tape, he kind of slid into him, and so I didn't think it seemed as bad as what it looked initially.
You said twice on that, he got hit from the player and then also on the ground. Was he checked for a concussion at any time?
I don't think so. I think he was pretty good.
I mean, of all the good things that Fields is doing, going back to the last 3 games, throwing out the Cleveland game, is there one area of progress that you feel indicates that this may take some time, but he is going to make it?
Yeah, I mean, well, not just the game. I start, Mark, with the practice. I start at practice, right? How does that go? Then you take that to the game, and what I think there's concepts and progressions that he's getting through right now where he's improving. And not everybody would know that because y'all don't know all the concepts and progressions, but he's getting better at some of the concepts and progressions. I think what you're seeing is a guy that in certain moments of the game, he learns from any mistakes and he grows from any of the good plays that he makes by doing it more. There is an ability of him right now. I think what we're doing is we're finding some throws that we see he does well and within the offense. And so what we want to do is be able to do more of those. At the same point in time, we went into the Cleveland game, and I think we probably put too much on his plate mentally, decision-making wise. We've scaled back with that, and it's helped him, and he's done a really good job. And that's why when you have decision-making at the quarterback position, they have so much on their plate. And as a rookie, you got to balance that. And I think our coaching staff has done a good job at that. On top of that, his decision-making in general has been pretty good, and that's growing. And once he keeps getting that better and better, the athletic stuff of making plays and making throws is going to come.
Is there a play that illustrates that decision-making from yesterday, that the kind of...
Yeah, those 3 that I said. Those 3 that I said. I mean, they were back to back to back. How about coming out to start the game and we go right down the field. He makes some big throws. I mean, again, those 3 plays, 5, 6, and 7, when he throws the corner to Mooney, and then he comes back, and then really the play to get us down to the 1-yard line, that's hidden yardage right there. I don't know how long it was. I forget how far it was, but he made no hesitation of throwing that post over the top. And when you teach plays and concepts, whatever they are, and you talk about the depth, width, and hips of a safety, right? Well, he wasn't real deep. He wasn't real wide towards that post, and his hips were turned a certain way. He stayed with it. And then he made a hell of a throw. 84 made a hell of a route, and that's what happens when you do that. It's not a catch, but it works,
With Justin showing some of his growth, and you've been able to establish a pretty consistent running game here in the last few weeks with multiple running backs, but the total points at the end of the game is still not. I mean, what's still missing?
Well, I think we're working through all that right now. I mean, you look at whether it's the explosives, any opportunities you get. If it is in the scramble mode and you get some deeper throws when you're in a scramble mode, we have that with him. And then you look at 2 opportunities to really, I mean, whether it's 3 points or touchdowns there that we talked about, we didn't get 3. Scoring for sure is an emphasis for us. We're not scoring enough, and you need to score more. We understand that. How we get to that, we're going through that identity. I think we all feel good about with the identity, but now it's like within that identity, what else do we need to do to complement that, and how are we going to get to that point? So we're working through all that. And now we got a big challenge ahead of us here coming up with Tampa Bay.
Justin was explaining to us yesterday the play where Allen got open down the middle of the field.
Yeah.
Justin explained why that wasn't his progression. What was kind of your assessment about that play? And how
Same thing. So that's a naked or a bootleg, right? So we faked it. He rolled to the left, and as he comes back, what happens is their safety, Amos, double teamed the swing route, which was Mooney. So then the corner didn't go on the post. So A-Rob on that play, ended up popping wide open. But as he's going through his progression, he's reading it. He also has a guy in his face. So he makes one guy miss. And now just as he starts to see downfield. Now remember, when we're all like watching it on TV and it's bird's eye view, it looks really easy. But when you're down there and you got guys running at you and people different ways, and then there's a referee standing right next to A-Rob on the throw, you might not believe me, but sometimes when you're down there, you can't tell. I mean, it's hard when you got other guys around you. So I don't think that was the case. I think he saw him, but then he also felt the pressure from 97 the second time. So he went to step up. You saw him go to load it and throw, but your sixth sense tells you might be getting hit from behind, so he just took off and ran and got positive yards. Again, and it wasn't within his – that's not where he starts within the progression, so what he told you is correct. They covered it. He went into scramble mode, was going to throw it, and he didn't. So, that's not part of the progression. But he can make – if he wants to drop back and run around, great.
I mean, to Adam's question, I mean, about the offense right now, I'm sure you didn't expect it to be at 16 points per game at this point. So not just the Green Bay game, but from what you imagined coming into the season to now, not excuses, but explanations of what has gone wrong.
No, I don't look at it that way, Jason. I think that for us, we understand we got to score more points every opportunity we get. Now, when you're looking at it, is it the amount of possessions that you have in a game? Are you getting takeaways on defense to flip the field and have a short field? What's your identity? Are you the explosives to me right now are what signifies the big plays, which you can get more possessions through explosives. You're not driving the ball in 10-play drives all the time. Yesterday we were 2 for 2 in the red zone. So that was an emphasis for us, was be effective against that defense in the red zone. And again, when you look at this, I really believe that for our team in general, big picture, we need to work together in all three phases, right? And that's going to be important. If we do that, and defensively we get 3 and outs, defensively we get turnovers, offensively when you get a turnover or 3 and outs, you're getting touchdowns. Not every game is going to be 40-40, but we can score more. And it's going to be complementary. Same thing with special teams, right? Just everybody field position working together.
Well, what hasn't happened that you expected to happen? Or do you look at the quarterback change? Or
No. Yeah, I think,
you planned for one quarterback this season and now you have another one?
No, I just think that in general right now, you go through, and as you build that identity of what you want to do, I really just believe that, we're going into every game, and you're seeing right now we're having success running the football. And is it going to be every game? I don't know. But right now I think we're running the football pretty well. Off of that, you're going to have some play actions, right? So in play actions, you're going to get some explosives. So, whatever those play action explosives are, I feel like that's where we're not getting as many as we probably want in that area. Go ahead. No, you're good. Go ahead.
I'm sorry, I was changing subject.
That's okay.
It appeared yesterday, both from the snap counts and watching him as the game wore on, that neither Akeem or Khalil is 100%. We know they've missed practice and whatever. With 11 games left, how do you balance, the need to have them out there,
Right.
the need to get them 100%?
Yeah, no, that's a fine line there because of where they're at, and you want them when they're out there to be 100%. But you also, I think what's important and what you find out as you go through this process is that, for everybody in their own different ways, it's important that you get out there and try to practice as much as you can. And but there is a balance to that too, right? Because you ultimately want them to be as healthy as they can be on Sunday. So that's where I think you got a lot of trust and belief in your training staff and your communication with them. Because the other part of that too is every team's going through it right now because every team has bumps and bruises, but like the communication of being able to get reps with those players Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday.
Two more. That final drive of the first half seemed to bother you yesterday. When you went back and reviewed it, whether it was the delay or the sack, was there anything notable about that sequence? Obviously, you want to get points out of that.
Yeah, I thought that was a point of time right there where our tempo in and out of the huddle, the procedure and all that kind of slowed us up a little bit. That's one of the things that we were talking about this morning as a staff is, okay, let's get that cleaned up. Let's get that right. There were some times right there where, we had to delay a game. There's a time you're coming out of a break and the formation's off. And so, those things we can control. And I agree with you 100%. That part right there, we need to be better, coaches and players, and just have that mindset of, okay, hey, man, we got to be locked in on every single play. And that ended up affecting us at the end of the half because we lost that field goal.
Can you
Matt,
clarify
yeah,
what
but-
happened on the delay game there? Just Because it looked like he did call timeout, didn't get it. I can't remember if it was you or Justin yesterday said something about how that should come from the sideline. Can you just clarify?
Yeah, so formationally, that was an issue we had again with just getting lined up, and then he was getting ready to call a timeout because he saw the play clock coming down, and then I guess they didn't. You could see them, they didn't give him the timeout, and then right there we ended up getting a delay game. So it goes back to what Dan was just asking, like the procedure, the tempo. I think there was 7 seconds on the play clock when they started it. So we got to go back and look at that as to whether or not there's a pump with that to reset it to 25. But there were 7 seconds on the play clock when we started that formation. And so, coming out, got to get them lined up, get them going. There's 7 seconds. That's where he saw the clock and wanted to call timeout. But it was, that's where we got to be better.
Matt, you had Rodgers Sunday, you get Brady coming up.
Yeah.
After that,
Yeah.
more Jackson. I mean, I know Justin's been very clear about it. It wasn't him versus Rodgers. But what can he learn from being around those guys, or just even seeing what they do pregame or anything like that? Is there a benefit?
I don't really think so. I think for him, the beautiful part about Justin is when he says that or goes to that point, he's real. I mean, he wants to be Justin Fields. That's all he cares about. And you can respect those other guys, and I know he does. I mean, you look all these great quarterbacks. I mean, we're in a great place right now in this league with the amount of great quarterback play that there is going on right now. And so you always respect that, and you ask people that have been around him, how do they do things, and little things like that. But then you kind of make it your own. And what I like about Justin is, again, he's not going to change. He's who he is for a reason. And he can learn and get better in certain areas, and he respects the heck out of all those guys. I know he does. But he's going to be driven to learn off of what just went on yesterday, not make it about him versus Rodgers, but try to make it, about our teams. And that's what I love about him. And very coachable and just wants to get better and keep growing. All right, guys. Thank you.